Siddharameshwar Maharaj, Brahman, recognize the Supreme Being. Self-knowledge is the understanding of your true being. Humanity forgets its true self and fails to grasp who it really is. We only begin to discover who we are when we think about it. What is our duty when we are given birth as human beings? The purpose of human birth. This human birth is not just for completing tasks and engaging in worldly obligations, like the bull endlessly turning the oil press, trapped in mechanical, repetitive activities. Do not live merely to perform mundane duties, only to die. Your birth will be in vain if you do not use it to comprehend reality. The purpose of human birth is to attain ultimate happiness by realizing Narayana, God. Instead, people engage in countless distractions, wasting this precious human body. This human body is unique, endowed with a superior intellect and the ability to discern so that we may come to know God, the ultimate being. One must realize oneself as Brahman to attain final peace. This is called Purushartha, the ultimate goal of man. You must experience this state beyond the mind. The one who strives for this knowledge attains it. You must first understand God. This means making your vision deeply penetrating. Just as the sky pervades everything, so does God. Keep in mind, God is in everything. The light of the sun and the light of the moon are the light of the self. The God who permeates the world also resides within us. Just as space fills a jar, the self has filled us. When the jar, the body, breaks, that portion of space merges with the vast sky. Likewise, the light of the self merges into Brahman. There is empty space within a pot, within a house, and within consciousness. Even if the pot breaks or the house collapses, the sky, the space within, is unaffected. Similarly, like the sky, the self neither goes nor comes anywhere. Recognize the Supreme Self. The substrate of all is Brahman. You must recognize the self, the primal cause, the foundation of everything. That which is beyond the visible is the self. That is Brahman. There is only Brahman, and it is one. The self is beyond all attributes. Thus, it has no coming or going. Before even the sky or the waters existed, at that time, the Supreme Self was there. Brahman does not attract attention. Before any element came into existence, the Supreme Self was already there. Since it exists beyond the senses, it does not draw the attention of anyone. Through many lifetimes, the mind and intellect have developed the habit of looking only outward. Thus, turning inward has become a most difficult task. This is called the reverse path, the path the saints follow when they turn in the opposite direction and observe the mind completely, abandoning the external world. Brahman will never be found outside of you. From the self arise intellect, knowledge, ignorance, and everything else. Thus, you are the precursor of all things. The seeker must begin the search for this I at its very core. It will never be found outside of us. In every human being, the sense of I, the ego, and the sense of mine, the attachment, fill us to the brim. Every action in the world is carried out by the force of ego and the sense of possession. Try to discover who you truly are. The supreme reality is attained only after acquiring true knowledge. The entirety of knowledge is one. Reality is like an infinite sky, but when it is restricted by identification with the body, like a cloud, it assumes the role of an individual, and in doing so, creates many limitations. The belief, I am the body, or I am an individual, is what binds a person, and only through right understanding can one attain freedom. Those trapped in the false I suffer from two fundamental misunderstandings. They find it impossible to believe they are Paramatman, the Supreme Self. They believe they are something other than Paramatman, such as the body, the mind, or the personality. True freedom is the complete renunciation of pride. Essentially, worldly life means feeling pride in almost everything. In the complete renunciation of pride, this is true freedom. Understand that the fulfillment of worldly desires will never bring as much joy as renouncing them. The one who understands this permeates all things. If a person wishes to be free from misery, they must abandon the I. However, before it can be abandoned, one must discover exactly where this I resides. Only when we find the I can we speak of letting it go. Few contemplate the nature of the self. Among seekers, very few meditate on the nature of the self. Few ask the question, what am I? We must investigate the meaning of I. We must observe who we truly are. When it is known that we are no one, then who remains? Someone is. That someone is Paramatman. Without flaws, without qualities, the Supreme Self is all objects, all qualities, all things. Only you are not there. Everything is Paramatman. But when you become a small, insignificant ego, you become an individual, a jiva. Worries and suffering become your fate in life, and you become powerless. By accepting the state of jiva, you become a prisoner. With the dissolution of jiva, what remains is Shiva. After letting go of all things, the mind becomes absorbed in the One. What remains after abandoning what is visible is Brahman. Brahman is what remains after all that is seen disappears. All appearances are illusion Maya, and the observer is Brahman. What is seen is false, and the one who sees is Brahman. There is nothing in this world but the observer. The Vedas declare that only two entities exist, that which is seen and that which sees. Vedanta states this clearly. In this world, there is nothing but the observer and the observed. The one who dwells in the heart of all beings is Brahman, and he is real. Whoever clings to the seen perishes, and whoever takes refuge in Brahman attains his state. If you focus your attention on the seen, the objective world, you will be destroyed along with it. The observer and the observed are two only in ignorance. The trinity of observer, observed, and the act of observation exists only due to the illusion of the mind. In ignorance, the observer and the observed appear as two. When the observed dissolves, the observer alone remains, without any object of observation. That is Brahman. That which is beyond the visible is the self. You are that. Listen, the greatest knowledge is knowing that all appearances are illusions. Everything is false. There is no coming, there is no going, and the one who is, that is Paramatman, you yourself are Paramatman. Your true nature is this. You have no birth, no death, no movement. That which has form is not you. Paramatman is eternally present without pause. There is only Brahman, and Brahman is one. The matrix is complex, but each of us holds a part of the solution. Drop your thoughts in the comments, and together we'll see beyond appearances.